But so LATAM, what do we want here for arguably your off lane? You see what could be your laning opponent in the Nature's Prophet. You see that you need a little bit of lockdown. It's one of the issues with Abaddon is that you don't have anything further to add to a team fight. You're completely reactive.
Hmm.
And they decide to counter the Ember Spirit now. So there you go. This is why they waited for it, was to see what that next phase of picks for NoRunes were, trying to get rid of any counter cheese. It's why they don't blow the load on Huskar just then. But they still get Huskar versus Ember Spirit, and we've seen this matchup once before already, and it ain't pretty. It's miserable. It's awful, but you're now just gonna have to deal with it, Mr. Jeans. And Mr. Jeans has been known to deal with those horrible situations and usually take them in stride, but I don't know how much he can do in this matchup. And how much he gets done is going to be everything for NoRunes, because Huskar is going to walk from lane to lane, knocking out objectives, getting a 13-minute Roche. It's going to be a problem. And he's got an Abaddon behind him. Kind of a big deal.
Yeah, not a fun time, and Mr. Jeans is extremely talented with that Ember Spirit, but there's only so much that individual skill will get you in a matchup of Ember versus Huskar, right? You're still at a disadvantage no matter how good you are, so... Well, we'll see how they respond. We'll see if there's any sort of recovery plan for NoRunes in case the lane does end up kind of spiraling out of control. In the meantime, we move into the final phase of the bans here. NoRunes going to remove the puck, which is kind of an interesting ban here. We have seen some teams still look at the puck with a little bit of flexibility between the 2 and the 3, but not that frequently, I would say here. But if you're NoRunes, maybe it's just a defensive ban in general. They followed up with the removal of the Underlord as well.
Yeah, and I do like the Pit Lord ban. Just great coverage. They still need a hero for arguably Vitali, even though we kind of have to see what Alliance want to do, because there is still a Tiny. They could run Tiny 3. They could run Rubik 4 if they really want that Huskar Ember lane, which they want. They picked it. That is the direct counter. As well as there is no universe in which Huskar is going to want to lane versus the Nature's Prophet, let's say. You know, even that lane doesn't feel too bad, but versus a hero that can constantly heal himself, they constantly has units coming in and pestering you. I feel like that's where NoRunes might try to get tricky with the runes just a little, or with the lanes a little bit, just because it makes sense. If they can get their ideal matchup and avoid their most unideal matchup, that might be the way that they find a little bit of wiggle room here. Also, love the Viper ban, covering their bases versus Abaddon Huskar. Very, very annoying, especially if you get a silence coming through from any of NoRune's heroes. You know, they kind of have to work for it. But NoRunes, what do we got? Do we need another carry? Do we need a more real offlaner? Also, the Bloodseeker ban coming into the final phase is very interesting because no emphasis on Pango. It kind of makes you wonder a little bit for either side, to be honest, if they just want another big team fighter. But we'll have to see.
NoRunes running the clock down, though, so need to make their choice. The pick does come in, and they will grab the Troll Warlord, so going to shift the Nature's Prophet presumably into Heiko's hands as a 3, which, okay, fair enough. We've seen that in the past. Troll Warlord maybe gives him a little bit more of a frontline presence compared to what the Nature's Prophet would have been, but now, well, if you're Alliance.LATAM, what are you looking for? You can now still theoretically get away with the Huskar mid if that's the laning setup you want, and as you pointed out, AT, I feel like you wouldn't pick the Huskar if that's not what you wanted, and yeah, there it is. The Drow Ranger comes through, which does mean we should be seeing Vitali, I would assume, on the Tiny. The only other play is to try to run Core Abba, which,
And
not really
no,
sure what that looks like.
he's on the Rubik. He is
Okay.
gonna be playing things a little bit differently, and we'll have to see. Of course, it is an alright Rubik game, and it's a lane in which he will be able to survive in, I think, pretty easily. He's just able to throw the clockwork away once Noe just gets on top of him, but is a very different laning setup.
Hold up.
But yeah, things are weird.
NoRunes, what have you done here? Mr. Jeans is on the Mirana, and Jupiter's going to play position 4 Ember Spirit, so they really did not want to deal with the Ember versus Huskar lane, which, I mean, ET, fair enough. It's god-awful, but position 4 Ember was the domain of 1 or 2 South American supports, and even then, only in extremely niche scenarios, so It'll be interesting to see if Jupiter can make a whole lot work with the Ember Spirit here.
Well, and the unfortunate thing is he's going to get stonewalled a little bit because if the lanes go the way I think NoRunes are going to set him up, he might just end up laning versus the Abaddon. So, well,
Hmm.
whoops, just going to purge off every single Searing Chains. But it is a high skill hero pick. You have to make so much happen. You really need to you have to lean on all of your support experience basically to make the hero work. You have to be everywhere. You have to get every rune. You have to make sure all of your rotations are very well spent. Every ounce of mana has to be used for something. And then you can make it look pretty alright. Or it looks really bad really quickly, but we'll see. I think it's going to be an uphill battle, though, for Jupiter already. Almost to the degree that I want him to lane with Mini, just because, at least in that lane, he just body blocks the Tiny and then maybe tries to get a Searing Chain here or there onto the Rubik. But I don't know. We'll see. It does feel like a tough Ember 4 game, though.
Just a shift out of necessity, I suppose, because the Huskar does really kind of throw a wrench in the works there, but just gonna have to do his best, and we will see if they opt for that kind of switch up. As of right now, kind of hard to tell. Everybody's just still in the base. They've taken all of 2 or 3 steps out of their fountain, so no split. Honestly, can't really tell too much from their itemization either, although you look at Jupiter, he is looking for, according to the quick buy, an early Wraith Band, so just because he's playing support Ember doesn't mean he's going to entirely give up on his own damage
Don't give
output.
up, guys. Don't give up.
Yeah, and it's just value. It's just armor. It's just stats, you know. That's the big thing. Allows him to definitely make trades, even though if I remember correctly, Michael would always go Boots Tango and Matthew would always go Blightstone.
Mm.
Uh, of course, for their own respective reasons and almost certainly affected
Don't
by
give
their
up, guys.
laning
Don't give
partner.
up.
But Jupiter going in his own lane.
Yeah, he's gonna look for something a little different here, and we'll see how it plays out. In the meantime, Trient sent forward, trying to scout out, see if there's any extra vision here. Yeah, standard stuff from Heiko. Send those Trients out, find what information they can, see if there's maybe a rune that Alliance.LATAM are not paying 100% attention to, but you look at their positioning here, ET. Alliance.LATAM not very aggressive, setting up on their own sides here, and well, okay, maybe gonna try to steal one extra rune. If they could get both the river runes and then fall back onto their own side, they're gonna be happy, but Gardic. Aquatic shield timing is interesting, even if they don't pop it with damage. Yeah, they're still gonna get hit up, and well, the only problem with the strat was that the other river didn't actually go their way. Almisho and Vitali were unable to prevent Nuagas from getting in there, so it ends up as just a 2-2 split.
Yeah, and you're happy. You're satisfied with that situation. No real mana expended. You also look when there's a battle in the river, what those small camps are looking like, and none of them are blocked so far. So I'll have to see if the Force get that rotation over, because everybody has got the time. Amisha's got boots. Jupiter's got a sentry, so I have to see.
Nuagas is gonna go to work as the clock just pops the battery assault. Get in there, be annoying. Vitali with the Fade Bolt at level 1 doesn't really have any lockdown. And neither does Amisha for that matter, because they see him with the tree, so Clockwork's free to just kind of go about his business. But ET, we did not quite get the laning setup that you were alluding to here. It is Heiko and Jupiter here in the top lane, and well, I don't know. How effective will the Ember Spirit be? Because laning against the Abba means, realistically speaking, even if you land the chains, you can't do too much with it.
Yeah, and the good news is that it is a much cheaper initiation for Jupiter to make every single time. A Photic Shield will only get more expensive, where your spells stay relatively cheap, so maybe they just try to do one too many plays on Gardic and Kataro, and then they get their opportunity, but otherwise, I think they're just going to be kind of waiting, trying to get large camp pulls off, doing their best. Sadly, the large camp is blocked up. Every camp is blocked up top, so It just means that we're going to be kind of stuck in the boring laning stage a little bit here. But sadly for Jupiter, with Nature's Prophet, the lane is not weak enough that he wants to go for creep pulls either. So he's just going to kind of be stuck doing whatever. And he's already kind of given up on the chains. He's got a second point up in Flame Guard, something we would never see with the other support Embers, but just because he wants something to help trades.
Yeah, and the Searing Chains play just realistically is not going to happen, so fair enough. Compromise made. And you see Jupiter immediately trying to use that Flame Guard just to bully Gardic a little bit, and honestly, he didn't do much damage, but you at least push the Appa back, and maybe get a little bit more space for Heiko to operate in, because he's behind the Drow last hit YZT, but not by a whole lot, so you're going to be okay with how this is playing out if your Prophet just gets to sit back and farm. Although, with the aggression we're seeing here, yeah, Heiko's forced to TP away. Jupiter, well, he may not have that luxury. He's just getting run down. They don't have the damage to finish him, though, but I mean, Kitaro, he does hurt. It's kind of a slow build-up, but if he gets involved, they have to fall back.
Yeah, gotta be careful, of course. Will abuse the Nature's Prophet effect as much as they can with those TPs. Gives a salve over to Jupiter as well, so they've got a lot of resources to throw at Alliance.LATAM. But until then, it's a little bit of a waiting game. Once Kitaro gets 6, though, he can kick anybody out of his lane. Marksmanship is such a huge power spike for the Drow in the lane.
It's going to do a whole lot of extra damage. In the meantime, let's check in on that middle lane here, because Mr. Jeans, he got to avoid the Ember matchup, BT, but even Mirana in this situation, you're still going to take, realistically, the same amount of damage. Burning Spears are still unbelievably obnoxious to deal with, but you would assume with the Mirana's kit, oh boy, with the Mirana's kit that you'd be able to leap away like he just did and maybe avoid the last bit of damage that would do you in, but it's a close call.
And Analog needs a pause after that one, you know, little bit scary, because of course, the other aspect is you have magic damage. You have the max Starstorm build. If that second Starstorm lands on top of the Huskar, you can almost commit for a kill in a trade, but it's very, very difficult. You also care about the water runes. So if a support comes over and grieves Mr. Jeans too much here, like a support is coming to do, well, this situation can get pretty unfortunate pretty quickly. But Mr. Jeans, very wise. Amisho just a breath behind. Isn't there in time for that water rune steal.
Well, Mr. Jeans is able to grab a rune, but up in the top lane, well, Jupiter ends up getting punished there. A second point in the Frost Arrows for Kitaro. This gives them a little bit more to work with. 2 points in the Aphotic Shield as well. So the damage output from that duo just really took a big step forward that your Ember isn't ready to deal with, and Heiko with no Sprout can't really force anyone away from the fight either.
Yeah. And he's trying to be annoying on the Nature's Prophet, but at the end of the day, all he can really do is TP away from the lane once it gets scary, and yeah, tries to get a little bit of harass. Heiko, very patient, you know, even gives it a few right clicks to Katara before he TPs away, because he kind of knows what's going on. But it is still a pretty free lane here for Kataro. He's happy, and you don't really get that power spike on the Nature's Prophet until he hits level 6 himself, so it just ends up being kind of that awkward situation. And even though Jupiter does go down, giving Soul XP to Heiko will get him to that point where he can kick the Drow out.
Always going to be a silver lining there. In the meantime, in the bottom lane, a little bit of a skirmish there. Both Nuagas and Elmisho dropped pretty low, but nobody wanted to commit all the way in to actually try and secure that kill as Mini. Moving over to grab his ring. Oh, out of the lane for just a moment or two, Elmisho. He's not level 3 yet. Doesn't quite have that point in the toss, so he's got it now, but now the moment has kind of passed him by.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of soul XP to Vitaly as well. He's got 3 range creeps pushing into his tower. It's going to put him at, like, level 5 in a little bit. It's very nice. Amisha's really spent his time well in this early game. And we'll see, because 6-minute rune comes up, and we'll get killed. Garg takes the Invis rune, and then just walks it away.
Jupiter, he's following. He doesn't know he's following, obviously, because he doesn't see Gardic, but everybody's just going to go their separate ways. They rotate in for runes, but no actual fight. No aggressive maneuver, which, well, fair enough, right? Because it still is going to be tough. Maybe, maybe Nuagas can get a cog trap to set up for an arrow from that mid lane, but right now, he's got other things to worry about. Pyko gonna TP himself in, but there's a TP coming in from the Abba as well. That TP is actually cancelled, however, so Arctic will not be making his way over, and Elmisho does not have the backup he needs to live.
Yep. And has TP, so he can just go back top if he wants to, but is kind of the problem with Nature's Prophet. As soon as you leave that lane, you really don't want to return to it. If he comes back towards top, Gitaro's level 5.5 right now. That lane's very difficult. He's giving XP over to his Ember Spirit as well. So instead, he's just going to jungle. And jungling is not bad, because if you get your level 6 not too slowly, well, then you get to hide your play. You get to hide your big power spike on that Nature's Prophet in the early game, and then you get to kill someone. And Heiko's also changed up his build really a lot, mainly in reaction to the Huskar, but this is the first time we're seeing the Spirit Vessel rush on this hero. For a reason, it's just usually not a necessity.
Yeah, good item to deal with the Huskar, just not normally something that your Nature's Prophet even really thinks about, but if you can get it, and get it in a solid timing, it's going to be incredibly useful. It's just... that does mean that your Nature's Prophet's overall damage output is going to be a little bit less impressive, right? We're not going to see any sort of early Ags or Gleipnir rush from him, but... I mean, you've got a Troll Warlord. He can do some of the heavy lifting. I am a little bit concerned, or interested, I suppose, in what Mr. Jeans does here. You see the Maelstrom in his quick buy, so it would appear, as of right now, his plan is to just try and build himself up as a damage dealer, regardless of the hero itself as Mr. Jeans. That was a very bad idea. Wow. Yeah, that was a mistake.
Yeah, no, that was pretty definitive. Just really confident in the TP. Didn't expect both supports to show up in his lane. Probably didn't expect the damage from the DD rune as well from Analog. But a part of me also thinks that probably should have known just a little bit better. But a lot of damage here on the tier 1 tower. Analog just abusing the fact that he's strong, he's powerful, he's got his armlet as well. He does a ton of damage, and he is not easy to bring down. And until we get some more levels here from NoRunes, there's nothing you can really do, and everybody, it's just more bodies. I mean, Noages is just 100% dead here, and nobody can do anything. Here comes the ult from Heiko, but it gets survived. Elmisho got to be a little bit more careful, but everybody else walks away, and Analog is completely fine.
Late arrow there coming through, but it didn't have the range to actually hit anything, so... well, if you're Alliance.LATAM, you got everything you wanted there. You get a very free kill on the Mirana. Get the tower, you get another pick off onto Nuagas, and Analog is just off to the races, right? Progress being made towards the Sanj already, probably going to be just that halberd build-up that we see from him pretty often as Nuagas. Okay. Trying to protect a bounty rune. He is going to get it, but at what cost? Because Vitali is pushing in, had the stolen whirling axes, now he steals the cogs. And he's going to use it to try and trap Jupiter, who is nowhere near his level 6 yet, so... just got to try and walk it out, but he's able to do so because, realistically speaking, they have like 2 or 3 forms of lockdown, and they used all of it on the first kill.
Yeah, has to walk away, but no time wasted here from Analog. He says, okay, killed my mid tower. I'm going to help you get this tower busted open. Vitaly, you're slowing things up a little bit for me, so he's going to get that going. Heiko does get the trade on the other side of the map, but Alliance.LATAM are still just ahead of the exchange. They even get to kill the tower before the carts even meet, so really, if they want to, they could even keep on going bottom. They don't want to stick around, though. They want to get a pick on that top side of the map to open up the possibility of Analog getting an early Aegis, just killing off Roche, but in the meantime, well, that was just a Wrath of Nature to push out the lanes. NoRunes are kind of desperately trying to just keep them pushed in as far as they can.
Vitali TP's top just to make sure that there's not too much more damage applied to his tier 2, although in fairness it didn't take a lot of damage in the first place. Jupiter though, Jupiter's going to take a lot of damage. He is getting run down here, burned out by Analog. There was a TP in from Heiko, but well, now you kind of wish you had your Wrath of Nature to give you that little damage buff, but they just need something to get onto Analog, but it really just isn't there right now, and the longer you wait, the stronger this Huskar is going to get.
Yeah, it's where sadly the mid laner that Mr. Jeans had to pick up just because it was already drafted is a farmer, is a slow hero. We've already seen them run a mid once before, and in that game, it's just so painfully passive because you need a ton of items. You need the Maelstrom, you need a BKB, you probably would like a Gleipnir, you need an AC. It's just so expensive to get the hero off the ground, and you lost your kind of broken shard that facilitated the carry style of the hero. So it's kind of a rough style to make happen, even though all they're doing right now is really what they can. They're cutting waves, they're being annoying. Jupiter's going down. He had a remnant back. All he was trying to do was steal a bounty rune, but they're going to have to throw their bodies against Alliance.LATAM to try and make anything happen. And with one pick on that top side of the map, Alliance feel like it's time to go into the Roche, and absolutely agree. And yeah, it's that 12, 13-minute Aegis for Huskar, so they're right on schedule.
Hmm. Gonna get exactly what they want out of this as long as Analog doesn't get bashed 4 times in a row. And yeah, the Mirana play here as a core hero, I really want to liken it to, oh, hold on a second, as Heiko tried to make a jump in, but he's not in time. That is unfortunate, and very strange for Heiko to be the one to make that play, considering Nuagas was trying to get in position for the hook shot, a much less valuable kill to hand over if you're looking for that sort of suicide steal. Is the profit going down? I mean, I guess he's got his vessel already, so you don't lose progress on that, but that is not exactly just a throwaway life.
No, it kind of sucks, but I think he also felt like Nue just wasn't coming in time, so he just chances it for that steal. And Nue just gets tracked down as well. He just gets boxed out with all of the vision placed on the high ground. A ward that he's already pinging out, but still doesn't feel great. Silver lining, though, Mini's got a 13-minute Battle Fury. That's not too shabby on the Troll Warlord, and we've seen before, if Troll Warlord is given time, he can definitely carry a game kind of solely on his own back, but it's gonna be a while. It's gonna take a lot of items, a lot of time. It's the same story as the Mirana, where you just need so much net worth to make anything happen. And Alliance.LATAM are just not looking to give you it. They're at a tier 2 tower. They're getting so much AoE gold, even though they don't have, the most kills in the world. Their opponents aren't finding any openings, and you're getting all of this tower and Roche gold. Misha, who has only been participating in 6 kills, hasn't gotten a lane. He's got 5 last hits. He's only 500 gold away from a Blink Dagger because he's just been involved with the team making these huge rotations.
He's now TPing his way mid.
Yeah.
Taro, he can't save the tower, but he denies it. They get the kill onto Nuagas, and well, you saw Mr. Jeans make an attempt there, but that brings me back to the point I was making before that Roche attempt. You liken the core Mirana to the DK that we saw the other day, right? The ability to carry a game and do damage is technically there, but the unbelievably long shopping list of things you need to make that work really kind of takes the winds out of your sails here. And Mr. Jeans at this point, he's not even done with the Maelstrom. That's step 1, and they're losing tier 2 towers. So Mr. Jeans, is he even going to get the time in the first place to become relevant?
All they can do is cut the waves, be annoying, try to get these items. He's got the BKB queued up after, and that's going to be NoRunes. What feels like, and is probably going to be their only timing in this game, is going to be BKBs after these first few items, and then they try to make a team fight happen, and they either win or the game outright ends, pretty much. And Alliance aren't even all in on the Huskar, to where Kataro is just as farmed. He is right up there. He can also be that secondary carry if they need to, even though right now it is all the analog show. But Kataro is patiently just still farming in the background. He is still going to be a threat.
Mm-hmm. Got his pike up. He's got the Yasha just about done. His teammates are going to get him some extra gold with this tier 2 tower falling mid. And with the Aegis up for just under 2 more minutes, well, they can poke the high ground. Analog's going to do exactly that, and if you're NoRunes... Well, ET, what's your play here? They do have a glyph, I suppose, but is this actually a defendable position for them, or do they just have to let it go?
And this is kind of the issue with how little wave clear they were able to draft. And sadly, they get the glyph forced out of them despite Nuage's already in a position to push down and cut that wave. But the cart just came at the worst possible time, pretty much. And well, an attempt. They get their glyph refreshed, so, could be worse, but they're just waiting for backdoor, and then finally kicks in, and now they're going to give up on the play. Your trees to cut in mid. Creep Wave's already pushing in top, so maybe they just look for that next play there. But Alliance are just playing a real simple, just almost basic at this point. Just run it down the lanes. They do have to get a little bit crafty pretty soon here, though, and they are looking to kill the rat. We'll just have to see if Nuages is able to navigate himself out of this one, but they can't really allow themselves to get creep cut either. There is an Ember Spirit. There is a Nature's Prophet in this game. If they get too much farm, it only gets easier for those creep cuts to happen, and then they could see themselves getting split pushed to death. You can already see all of that tower gold has given them this buffer, but that 6k gold net worth lead isn't increasing anymore because NoRunes are farming in 2.5 of the 3 lanes because Alliance are trying to get objectives, but they just need to make sure they're not getting dodged too much more successfully.
Yeah, and that's the good news if you're NoRunes. That line is starting to flatten out a little bit. So, first step towards recovery is to just stop the bleeding. And, well, if you're Alliance.LATAM, okay, this is a simple enough play. Let's get that last outer tower. Let's really tighten the noose around our opponent's necks here. But Aiko, I mean, at this point, this is a nice creep cut, but it's not going to save the tower. It's going down no matter what. And with the relative health of the creep wave they have, they can try and push for that high ground. They don't have the Aegis anymore, but who's going to come and stop them, I suppose, right?
Yeah, and there is Glyph. The Ember's going to come over, but it's no Fade Bolt. It's a Sleight of Fist on a +4 Ember Spirit, but the Glyph will kill the creeps, and Backdoor will eventually come back. Analog doesn't even want to stand on the high ground. He wants to be patient, but they need to, at the very least, get some vision back. They've placed their own kind of triangle sentry ward here, and it looks like Nuages finally will get taken down. But he's been able to farm himself up an entire Force Staff while he's been on his little outing here. Clockwork's definitely been getting some XP, some farm. Really, NoRunes are kind of getting where they need to go. And without an Aegis, Alliance have to be a little bit chill. And of course, that Roche is coming up in a minute and 40 seconds, so we'll have to see how kind that timer is. But Alliance.LATAM don't really want to be in this game very much longer. And you see again, 4K now. NoRunes are just using the map better than their opponents, as they kind of need to.
Well, at this point, if you're Alliance.LATAM, do you start to consider drastic action? As they are pushing on to Mr. Jeans, okay. Pretty valuable kill there, but ET, is there a realm where Alliance.LATAM entertain the notion of trying to maybe force the issue on the high ground without waiting for Roche, just in case they lose this lead, or are they really kind of locked into that waiting game?
I think they are going to be satisfied, and of course, with them not pushing for those objectives, if they do just take a step back and farm, they will gain a lead. They will be able to now play in the same realm as their opponents, so it's not the worst case scenario, but I do need to be a little bit cautious here. And you'll see, Alliance are going to get that advantage back now that they are actually farming and spreading out. They're no longer that 5-man blob, even though they're still keeping those hero pairings going, but I think real interestingly is going to wait and see how NoRunes take this next Roche, because depending on the timer, it could line up right with those BKB timings, as Nuage's playing with his food. Got an Arcane Rune, not the longest cooldown on that hook shot, but in 10 seconds here, we'll know. Mini has his BKB. They'd love to wait for the Muranas before that Roche is even a thought in the back of their mind, but have NoRunes given themselves enough time to contest the Roche? Honestly, with BKBs, probably, and with a 20-second Roche timer, that's definitely going to be the objective that they look to play for. But sadly, Jupiter gets taken down. Sounds from Drow just too good.
Able to finish off that kill pretty quickly, and, well, depending on how quickly Roche is scouted, Jupiter may still be dead by the time somebody makes a move, but it'll only be a few seconds difference at the most. In the meantime, though, that is a full AC coming out to Analog, so he's got Armlet, he's got Halberd, he's got AC. Who really wants to stand against him? You would kind of look at the Troll as maybe being your primary option on that front, but ET, I mean, even if he pops Battle Trance, The armor, the evasion, it's tough.
It's really annoying. And we haven't even really got to see it because we haven't gotten a team fight. There's an Abaddon in this game. Even if
Hmm.
you get the Vessel on him, even if you get these disables, these roots, whatever, you've just got that aphotic shield in the back of your mind here, even though an aggressive smoke looking to fight into Alliance. They're invis, they're making their way up in mini. Well, very scary.
Oh, he's disarmed immediately, though, and yeah, he's got to back off. Jupiter just trying to, at this point, run interference, but he is going to get silenced, and yeah, they'll pick him off, but better to lose the Ember than to lose your Troll Warlord, and Jupiter has buyback if they really do need him. And they might, because Alliance.LATAM are starting to make their way towards the pit. I think that Gardic had already scouted out that it respawned, but even if they didn't know until just now, they've got the numbers. They're going to push their way in, and NoRunes, what's the call here? Noagus is getting his way over. He's got Hookshot and Force Staff, so he could try this, but he's already out of time. Wow, okay. Roche gets taken. Hookshot comes in at the end. I think maybe seeing that Analog kind of hesitated for a second to grab that Aegis, thought he had a window, but obviously he did not. And then Mr. Jeans gets picked off in the north side jungle. Doesn't immediately bail when he sort of gets the notification that Roche was taken down, and they might lose a little bit more here. There's going to be the Ava into the toss back, but they don't have a silence onto Jupiter. Katara wasn't really in the area, so the Ember Spirit gets away, ET, but Mirana's dead for 20. They've got Aegis back in Analog's hands. He has a shard that's okay. You know, it's not major, but he's got it. So they can try and push the high ground again.
Yeah, it's just another safety net, and they are trying to cut. Jupiter is working so hard on this range creep. A range creep that is getting shielded up, that is getting healed, and Jupiter, very nice dodge out. But backdoor gets ticked away, and there's a creep wave in top, so NoRunes have a huge problem right now. It's why Jupiter is trying to go for that top wave again, but it doesn't work. It doesn't happen. Somebody's got to meet the Huskar and the Drow at the front door, but even then, I don't know if they've got enough in the tank to make this team fight happen. Still waiting for Mr. James to have his BKB. He's 100 gold short. Mini will probably give him that gold by getting damage on this tier 2, but then we're kind of at the end of our rope here for NoRunes.
Middle lane gets taken down. BKB was finished, but yeah, they've got to do something. Let's see what the play is. Noagus still out of the base. Mini still out of the base. A second lane of racks will fall, and ET, if nobody's coming back, I mean, bottom lane's open. They could just swing for the Megas right now. NoRunes really are out of time. They're going to start bringing heroes back, and Jupiter once again tries to make some sort of distraction play happen. He's taken down, but quickly buys back. Analog, a little bit further forward than he would want here, but he's able to get himself out. Don't want to use that Aegis prematurely. But his teammates just get into position for that final siege. Tier 3 tower bot under attack. NoRunes have brought everyone that they've got, but it is worth noting now, after Jupiter's buyback, they don't have any more, and Jupiter actually just dies a second time. Mr. Jeans gets tossed out of the base. So he just had to pop his BKB ET to get back home. So now they don't have it for the fight, and I'm not even sure there can be a fight here. El Misho says, I want the fight. Goes in, Avatos, takes down Mini again.
Yeah.
No buyback available, and that really should be the end of it.
Yeah, we don't even get to see a troll ulti, troll BKB. There's so much time in the world spent trying to build up, and sadly, trying to deal with this Huskar pick that was just too much. Just missed it in the bans, missed it with their first phase Ember Spirit, and that's gonna bite NoRunes. Just lost on a complete drafting error.
And on the Alliance.LATAM side, ET, nobody can accuse them of not knowing what was at stake here. They were just all business, playing a little bit dirty there with the Huskar pick, but hey, you're down to the final day. You're down to your final series, your last opportunity to make the playoffs. Nothing is really off limits at this point, and a 19-1 kill count really just kind of drives home just how dominant Alliance.LATAM were there.
Yeah. There's just no openings. Just nobody to kill, no plays to make. NoRunes try to buy as much time as humanly possible by splitting the waves, by cutting everything. but their mid laner needs farm. Their carry is a Battle Fury carry who needs farm. Mini doesn't even look at the Maelstrom build. Their off laner is a carry who needs farm. There's just no play. Just heroes that needed way too much time and way too much space that Alliance just simply didn't give you. All the lanes pretty much went exactly as they planned as well. And we don't even really get to feel or see the shift up with Vitaly on the Rubik. All that really ended up happening
Mhm.
was he played a ranged hero, that bought Greaves, and laned okay versus Troll Warlord. Thumbs up. You know, it wasn't the flashiest stuff in the world, but he fulfilled a role that they needed. But it just kind of works. And again, didn't ban out the Huskar. First phase Ember got punished for it. Simple as that.
So now Alliance.LATAM's case for a playoff spot takes a massive boost up here with that win. They're now tied with Dreamers Esports for the number 5 seed, but well, being tied is not exactly a guarantee just yet. Alliance.LATAM would like to be in the driver's seat. If they could pull off a 2-0, then all of a sudden the pressure's on Dreamers to get at least one win in their series later today. Meanwhile, for NoRunes, um, not a great game, but I think there is still hope. If they could make this a 1-1 draw, then there is still a scenario in Play ET where Alliance, NoRunes, and Dreamers are all sitting on 5 wins, and then we get into Neustadt score calculations, which that is someone else's job behind the scenes. But they're not dead in the water just yet, but they cannot afford to drop this next game.
Nope. They can't afford to lose. They also certainly don't want to lose to the Cheese again, but we'll have to see. Can only imagine they're going to choose second pick, and then, well, hopefully they draft something a little bit more convincing, but all for game 2.
Hmm. Game 2 is going to be coming up in just a little bit here. So we shall see if NoRunes can bounce back or if Alliance are going to be able to push their way up those standings a bit. So stick around. We'll be back for the start of the Game 2 draft.